You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am your host, Jim Coppinger, and with me, as always, is my business partner and the harsh taskmaster who keeps me working 70 hours a week, Mr. Rocco Parisi.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah. He really only works 10.
Well, I'm around 70. I probably only do about 10 hours of work. That's fair. I can't argue that one. So, but for today, folks, we actually have a special guest with us today. Crazy enough to come back and join us for a second time is Kim Furman.
Yes, crazy is a good word for
there you go. That's it. You didn't learn your lesson the first go around, so you came back for more trouble. So Kim is the president of Augie, and she's got the greatest job title in the world. She's an architectural technologist. I love that. That is like the coolest title in all of existence. And Kim's been working with us for a while. She helps us out on the BIM and the Revit side, and she's, like I said, our first repeat guest. So, I love people who just don't learn their lessons.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us.
We're just on the same level. Did you ever think of that?
No, I think way better of you than that, Kim. I really do.
Thank you.
I wouldn't put you down on our level. That'd just be mean. All right, so Kim is with us today, and today we're going to be talking about, which is a very fitting topic, considering all that's going on in the country right now with the COVID-19. We're going to be talking about remote collaboration and what it looks like, particularly as it relates to the CAD world. So before we get into talking about this and how do we, best practices for working from home and how do people deal with it, let's give Kim the floor here for a second. Why don't you tell people who you are and tell us about your background, Kim?
Yeah, so as Jim said, I'm currently president of Augie, and a great organization. We provide connection for people all around the world in CAD and BIM forums. We have a magazine, Augie World, that goes out once a month. And I've actually been working from home as a consultant for the last 3 years, the last 2 on my own personally, and also doing training with Zentech. And, it's funny kind of seeing everyone now trying to work at home, doing something that I've been doing now for a few years and is just my norm. Yeah. So hopefully we can, kind of talk this through, how it looks, how I work from home, how others work from home, and, maybe get us all through this crazy time that we're in.
Yeah, perfect segue, right? So that's exactly right. We want to talk about remote collaboration today, right? Because like I said, for a lot of folks, it's a brand new world for them. They've never been able to, or maybe even, I can't imagine anybody didn't want to work from home, but maybe not quite in this way. This wasn't what we were looking for. And there are a lot of particular concerns, I think, particularly when it comes to the CAD and design world when you're working in that remote environment. So you said you get a lot of folks who are in kind of new and unexpected circumstances with, working from home. And a lot of them may not have had this experience, and some of them may be struggling to get the full infrastructure that they need in place, to work from home. And I think, when it comes to working, particularly in the CAD world, right, there are a whole bunch of other concerns that you need to address, particularly if you're involved in working in the design world with, centralized and shared models, that you can be dealing with in, a Revit environment or similar systems. So, Kim, let's start then with some basic infrastructure for the 2D. We'll start with the 2D world. All right, for the 2D CAD environment first, what do you see as the best and the simplest tools for anybody who's trying to work remotely using kind of traditional CAD systems?
Yeah, so really, generally for 2D systems, it again depends on the software. If you're working in a software that allows multi-user collaboration, for example, if you're able to modify XREFs in AutoCAD, things like that, you still need to have some type of access that allows you that particular collaboration. So whether it's a cloud-based or a server-based, the really, the basics are you have to have a point of access. And, what that looks like for your company is probably different on different levels, for sure.
Okay. All right. So you just, you mentioned XREFs, right? And I think that's an important thing for folks in the CAD world, because we're talking about external references and underlays, which are kind of, secondary reference files. How from a collaboration standpoint, when you got so many people work from home, how do we ensure that people are looking at the correct versions of that data? When they're spread around the world, how can we ensure that, the XREFs and the underlays are reading, the current versions from the right locations?
Yeah. So the key, really, I think the key to any type of remote collaboration is, communication, first of all, and organization. And you need to be able to, whether you're accessing a VPN, whether you're remote desktoping into your office, your physical office, however you're doing that, you need to have a method of organization for your files. And then you need to be able to communicate with those that you're collaborating with. So I think when you're working remotely, it's easy to get siloed. It's easy to just be isolated and, I'm working in my own little world here. I need to make it a point to actually reach out to those that I'm collaborating with or those that I'm working with and saying, hey, this is what I'm working on today. This is where I'm at with the project. I just wanted to give you an update. Is there anything that you need from me? That sort of thing, as you go along.
Yeah. And I think it's also important there, just to remember in terms of not siloing yourself. I think that, not just communication about the project, but I think just general human communication is vital too. One of the things that, Rocco and I do pretty regularly, we call, when we're from home, we'll call each other throughout the day just to, talk for 2 or 3 minutes. We got Teams up, we'll chit chat. And that's something that, normally in the regular work environment, you kind of get frowned on when you're having like the little fun conversation about, what you did last weekend or what are your plans for next weekend, But I think in this environment, I think it's actually needed. I think, to kind of keep our own sanity, we need that human contact as we're going through. So.
And we were talking about infrastructure. I think really the key to working from home, the key to being able to access your work first and foremost is having a good internet connection. Your basic cable isn't going to cut it when you're trying to work over a network. So that's something, maybe you need to upgrade your service a little bit and, hey, talk to your employer about it. If they're requiring you to work from home, then, see if maybe they can help chip in or work something out that way.
Get a little extra, on the side to bump up to that next level. That helps everybody. Yeah. And to be fair, it's funny because I said my wife's been working from home as well. And, I did have to notice, and I had to go downstairs into her office the other day and be like, are you streaming live radio? She's like, yeah, why? I'm like, okay, you need to turn that off. I'm teaching a class and it's starting to drag a little bit. So, you gotta know what your limitations are in your bandwidth. It's a great point.
Right.
So.
I think even little tips like even making sure that your drivers are updated. I know that my wife, like many people, is working from home now as well, and she was having connections where she would drop connections. So you want to make sure that your drivers, is it your video card drivers, Jim, are updated as well?
Yeah, and even just the drivers for your wireless, network cards and that, pretty much everything. You want to make sure. Take a couple of hours, in the evening or whatever, and just really make sure that all of your drivers, your firmware and your softwares are all been updated. It really does have a big impact on your connection speeds.
Yeah, and talk to your IT guys at work too. I know with my husband works for the state, and he has to have a particular type of security on our network for what he does, and so. That can sometimes interfere if someone else tries to log in or if there are certain programs that run, all that technical IT stuff. Uh-huh. You just got really loud. I think I bumped.
I'm getting real loud. I'm naturally real loud.
I have a...
See, connection stuff. Now all of a sudden Kim's cutting out on me.
There we go.
Okay,
we're
good?
Yeah, there we go.
I think we're good. Woo. Okay. See, the fun parts of working from home. It's the little things.
That's right. That's right. Don't pinch the buttons. But yeah, so there's, all sorts of things that can, come up when you're trying to work from home. It's not just a matter of being able to plug and play. when it comes to accessing, especially company networks and things like that.
Yeah. Yep. Getting the IT help is definitely a good thing. So, all right. So I think that a lot of what people need to consider when they're working, remotely in the CAD world, I think a lot of it about the structure of the project. If you're just working with simple business documents like, Word or Excel files, it's easy enough to just toss those into Dropbox or SharePoint or any other cloud-based structure, whatever you're using, and you give people links, right? You just let them do their thing, go to work, do what you got to do. But I think when it's CAD-based, design-based, you need to allow for that referencing structure. And I think another real important key here is that you also need to allow for some kind of a checkout, check-in process, because like you were saying before, most CAD systems don't directly handle the concept of co-authoring, right, or having multiple people editing files at the same time. Usually what you're going to want to do is lock the editing down to one person at a time. That's just what they call the checkout process. And that lets other people know who has the file out for editing, right? So, and then once they're done, right, you need to either release or replace that file back to the central storage location and remove whatever locks have been put on it. That's what we call the check-in process. That allows other people now to go take their turn modifying your design. And that concept, that process has been around for years in document management systems like Vault and ProjectWise and others. But it is actually something that's kind of new to cloud-based systems, right? Cloud-based systems are a little bit more open in that respect. So I'm going to ask him then, what cloud-based systems do you know of, right, that handle that check-in process, or even that allow any for co-authoring and the like?
Yeah. So my background, of course, is mostly Revit based, and so for years we've been using what was called collaboration for Revit, and this kind of, you put your central model out in the cloud, and then you're able to work on a local model from that central model. It saves back, and you're not stepping on anyone else's toes as you're working, because you're all working basically in your own local model. This is kind of transitioned now into what they're calling BIM 360, and so that's a whole new ballgame for Autodesk, and it's actually rather timely with the capabilities that has. So I know we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So I'll let that.
Okay, there you go.
Let that go.
Okay. All right. So Rocco, then let's ask you, right? So in terms of our client base here in Zentech, how do our user levels stack up with what Kim's recommending? I mean, in things, how many of our folks are, using the BIM 360 and the Revit Central Model kind of concept, or do we just, is it entirely brave new world, or people just kind of throwing things in the cloud and trying to figure it out?
It's really all over the map. I mean, it's funny. I spoke with a customer just yesterday, and they're based in New York, so they have people working from home, and so he says, he says it's funny because my group, he says, is pretty advanced. We're using BIM 360, and we're doing okay. He says, but the rest of the company is really struggling. So so it goes to show, even within a large firm, you could have different groups working at different levels. So my feeling is that the larger firms are a little bit more up to date with using technology like BIM 360, but a lot of the smaller firms are going to struggle a little bit. That's where the communication that we were talking about earlier, the verbal communication over the phone or over Teams or Skype, if you have that capability, really comes into play.
Right. Yep. So that's important. So, I think in the current environment, right, it's important that we understand what the possible pain points of the remote collaboration can be, but I think it's also important to understand that there are positives, right? Especially for smaller companies who don't really have the infrastructure for this already set up, right? With so many of us who are unable to go to the office, we need assistance getting that, the correct software installed and configured for our needs. But luckily, and with props to a lot of the folks out there, a lot of the software companies are actually helping out with free access to their collaboration tools, during the current emergency. I mean, companies like Autodesk, they're really trying to help everybody adapt to this work from home remote environment. So Kim, I know that Autodesk has a specific site set up for this. Where can people go to kind of get information on what Autodesk is doing to help out during the COVID-19 stuff?
Yeah, so if you go to the Autodesk website, actually on their homepage, they have a link to their Autodesk News website, which is regarding COVID-19. You can also go to their BIM 360, which is just bim360.autodesk.com, and find links to their products there as well.
Excellent. All right, perfect. So with that, I think we're going to take a quick break to hear from today's sponsor, and then we will be back with Kim Furman to talk about the best CAD collaboration tool and some cool tips on how to use them. So we'll be back in just a minute with the Cattle Call podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all. All right, everybody. You are back once again with the Cattle Call podcast. All right, so since we got Kim Furman here today from Augie, I'm going to skip my maths for once.
Oh,
all right?
wow.
I'm not going to do the maths this time, and I'm going to let Kim tell us about BIM 360. All right, it's from Autodesk, and you're going to tell us how that works for both CAD and obviously for the BIM world. So, what exactly is BIM 360? All right, start there, and why should everybody be using it?
Yeah, BIM 360 is, it's like the Cadillac of Autodesk systems. It is designed for really construction management all the way from design up through, physical actual field construction. And so with BIM 360, you can do everything from project management, you can do design collaboration. We were talking about Revit Cloud work sharing. You can do collaboration through with Civil 3D and Plant 3D. You can, handle your quality control, your checklists, your punch lists, really everything that goes into a construction project you can do through BIM 360. And, it's not just, you can use it for, really a wide variety of tasks and coordination with your team. So, whether you're a contractor or an owner or, an architect, everyone can use BIM 360 to stay on task with their projects.
Okay, sounds good. So let me ask you this then. So when it comes to BIM 360, can people host files other than CAD-related stuff? If they want to put, PDFs and Word documents and Excel spreadsheets so that everybody on the team can work the entire project from one location.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of BIM 360 Docs. So it's basically a cloud storage for your documents.
Okay, very cool. All right. So, and not overly difficult to learn or utilize?
Not at all. Not at all. Everything is very self-explanatory. There are, of course, tutorials available and, training through Zentech.
Hey, there you go. See that? I like it when you put in the plugs. It makes me happy.
Of course. Yeah.
So, all right, yeah. So, BIM 360, it's a really amazing tool for CAD people, and I think that everybody should hit, the Autodesk site. Right. Again, you hit their adsknews.autodesk.com. Right, on the COVID-19 stuff, and you can see how to use it and all the other programs that Autodesk is offering. And I'll be honest,
I have a quick question for you.
You're
guys.
not allowed to ask questions. Was that in? Come on, we have to involve you in this conversation.
Is BIM 360 free of charge, or how does that structure work?
This is Autodesk, right? So there are some features that I'm going to probably lose my job, but there are some features that are part of the industry collections, so you have some access to the cloud storage. And of course, right now with the COVID emergency going on, they are offering more features available to you at this time. So yes.
Yeah, and it's true, and I do the same thing, right? I know I knock on Autodesk a lot on this show, because of their monetary needs. But I do think it's great that they're helping out, and they are offering more tools to help people out in this emergency. Sure. We do need it, and it's great that they're doing that. And they're a lot of companies, and like I say, so Autodesk isn't the only system that's offering up some good tools and freebies at the moment. For example, they're like Bluebeam Review, which is my personal favorite tool in the whole world for file sharing and PDF redlining, estimating, markups. I love that thing. I've been using it for forever. They are right now. They're offering fully functional versions of their extended program free for 90 days to any licensed user. So if you already have a license of Bluebeam, you can get a completely full free version that you can run and install for 90 days for your remote home system. So, a lot of companies are really stepping forward, and I think that's really, really cool of them. So, all right. So, Kim, what other software do you recommend for use in the remote work, right? Whether they're, free or reduced price right now, or just ones that are just plain good to use. Which ones do you recommend for folks?
Yeah, absolutely. Bluebeam is at the top of my list also. And then of course your kind of your communication software, Zoom, Slack, things like that. And good old Outlook, just having that email communication as well. So
right. So Outlook can be a real useful thing. Don't sell that short, right?
Or Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, Teams. I'm a huge fan of Teams as well. And what I love about Teams is that you can actually, one of the things is that you can actually email the teams directly. And this way everything's kind of centralized. You're not kind of sending 30 individual emails to people. You send to the team, and the email is right there for everybody to respond to and work on collaboratively. I really like that aspect of it. So, sure. Rocco, what do we see with our clients, right? What tools are they focusing on right now for collaboration? I mean, from my standpoint, I have been taking a ton of meetings and phone calls over the last 2 weeks on Teams in particular, as Kim was saying. That's been a big one for me. What are you seeing?
Yeah, Teams is probably the biggest one that I'm hearing folks really trying to deploy and use, and like we just started saying, I mean, it really has a lot of functionality, and just to do our own sales plug here, I mean, if you guys need help with getting Teams configured, set up, providing training for you, we do offer a Getting Started with Teams program. And we're happy to work with you at whatever level you need. We understand the urgency of the situation to keep business flowing here. So Teams is definitely probably the biggest one that I hear people using. There are some folks still using Skype, but not as many. And the other is BIM 360. And I think I'll just on the Outlook side, there's a lot of organization that can be done within Outlook to structure folders and rules to really make it more effective when you're working within Outlook. Yeah. So I'd probably say those three are probably the biggest.
Okay. Cool. Nice. All right.
And the other that just pops to mind, which I don't hear too much about, but do remember that with Office 365, I think pretty much with all the plans, you do get access to SharePoint online, and the ability to structure folders. I mean, we use it extensively here at Zentech, and that makes remote collaboration real impressive. It's real easy. I mean, Maybe Jim, you can talk a little bit, another minute or so on how we structure SharePoint online here, because I think that could really be a big help to folks who have Office 365.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a great point. I mean, it does come with most of the Office 365 plans, and really what we've done here is we essentially use it as kind of a cloud-based server. We really have just replicated what we would normally do traditionally on an internal server onto that cloud-based structure in SharePoint Online. And what's nice about it is I have it configured for it gets regular updates, security patches, everything. But most importantly, I have it configured for notifications, so that I can actually get notifications when files are modified. So I actually get emails that tell me when people update files that I've created, right? Things of that nature, which is really nice. Right? And the other thing that I love about it is that every time you open and save a file in SharePoint, it keeps backups You know, so I can go back and I can refer back to the drawing from like 6 months ago without having to go back to IT and say, hey, can you guys find this drawing? It was sometime between June and December of 2017. And then, wait 6 weeks while I try and figure out where that is. And then have to open 45 files to find the one I'm looking for. I can get that in seconds. So I'm a big fan of it in that respect. It works out really, really nicely. So, yeah, SharePoint can be a really, really good tool in this respect.
The other point that I'll make about Teams, just to remind folks who aren't so familiar with it, is that you can literally host group calls on Teams. You can do video, you can do video conferences if you need to.
You can host podcasts on Teams.
You can hold podcasts,
which is what we're doing right now.
Right. So there's, again, we're happy to discuss and help anybody get set up with it in any way. But to just keep that in mind. I mean, Teams is huge. If you have Office 365, you should definitely look at exploring it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move back to talking about the CAD stuff here for a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Kim on the spot. Okay.
So before you do that, because I know what's coming, one thing I thought about with the Autodesk products is if you're physically taking your desktop machine or your laptop home from work, make sure that if you're using like a network license, before you leave the office, make sure that you borrow a license, and you can do that right through either your Revit or your AutoCAD software.
Yeah, very important tip. Very, very important tip. And actually, one of the important things that goes along with that, and I will give again just to throw props to Autodesk, and for anybody out there who's heard the news, it was kind of a big thing a couple of weeks ago that Autodesk is kind of canceling their network licensing structures, but they put that on hold until after this immediate, the COVID-19 crisis is over. So for right now, you can still maintain your network licenses and do that. But yeah, please make sure you sign them out before you leave the office. Yeah. Yep, good safety tip. So, all right, so here's what I'm going to ask Kim to do then. All right, we're gonna ask you to give us 5 good tips on working remotely. Right, give the listeners your best ideas on how to make working from home a little bit easier and a little bit more fun.
Yep, absolutely. So, like I said, I've been doing this for 3 years myself, and here are my top 5. So, first of all, set a schedule. It is very easy to work actually more hours than what you're scheduled to work, and so, create a routine. I typically get up in the morning, have my coffee, and, read a little bit, and then I'll start my work day. And my kids and my family know that I'm working from, 8, 9 a.m. until, 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So, definitely set that schedule. Just keep your routine.
You hear that, Rocco? Stop making me work till 8 o'clock at night.
Or emails on the weekends. Yeah, it's like, oh man, there's Rocco again.
Okay, good tips.
Yeah. Number 2 is eliminate distractions as much as possible. It's a different environment, obviously, working from home, but you also need to give yourself some grace, because you're not in an office and there's laundry to be done and the dog's barking and things like that. So you're going to have those distractions. You'll learn to work around them. The dog is not allowed to have the door open. She likes to look outside and survey her kingdom, but she's not allowed to have the door open if I'm on a call or doing a podcast or something, because I know she'll bark.
Okay. Good tip. What I got it at was eliminate Rocco. Eliminate Rocco. Got it. Okay. No Rocco allowed during work. Got it. That's 2.
I don't bark, Jim.
Wow. Don't you though?
His bark is worse than his bite.
All right. All right, number 3, what do we got?
Number 3, we're at number 3. Be honest. Don't take advantage of the situation. Don't tell your employer you're working 8 hours when you're really only working 3. That will definitely come back to bite you at some point, speaking of biting. But, be honest with your work hours and, have integrity when you're working. If you're supposed to be working, then, certainly be working.
Okay, I shouldn't have said that to Rocco. Now he's going to want to know what I'm actually doing.
Well, he's gonna love the next one then. Number 4 get dressed.
Listen,
Because
I'm not coming
video
on a podcast in my shorts. It's not happening, I swear. There's some things that are just creepy, Kim. That's just not right.
But it's it's a thing though. If you're dressed, you don't have to get dressed up like you're suit and tie going to the office, but definitely you're in a different mindset if you are prepared and dressed for your day, and you're also you're prepared in case you do get that last minute video conferencing call, or you have to run out for something. It's a mindset, really. It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
If you're dressed and ready for your day.
Yeah, it really is important. Like I said, I've been working at home for a lot of years myself, and it really does change your mindset. Just making sure you put on a pair of jeans and a decent shirt as opposed to sweatpants and a ratty t-shirt. It really helps you focus. This is work time. It is important.
Yeah, and even she's an organizing kind of guru out there called Fly Lady, and she suggests even putting on shoes that tie, so you're less inclined to take them off. And it's that whole mindset that you're ready.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, and the last one, is kind of ironic today because it's pouring down rain, but my number 5, and actually probably my number 1 tip, is to go outside at least once a day. Just get, step away from work for a few minutes, take your lunch break as if you would, in the office, and just go outside and get some fresh air, for sure.
Yeah. Just getting out. Like, even with like the social restrictions and everything, my wife and I have been making a point of, at least every other night or two, just go out and take a quick drive around the town, or you run down to the store and pick something up. And I go out on the back deck to eat my sandwich when it's nice out. So yeah, that's a huge tip. So it's important. Another one I saw, it made me laugh, but I said, there's some truth in that though. It goes back to kind of your concept about dressing. Someone said, if you're gonna wear sweatpants while you're working at home, make a point of putting your jeans on at least once or twice a week, because jeans don't lie and elastic waists do. So it's like, fair enough, right? You gotta see how much you're eating and snacking on while you're sitting at home too. So
that's true.
Helps keep you honest. All right.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you, Kim. Those are great tips.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, all right. So there you have it, everybody. So, working from home, it can be a bit scary on the tech side, right, when you're first getting started. But I think that with a little bit of thought and planning, the tech stuff can be resolved pretty quickly. Of course, that goes quicker if you call Zen-Tech. We can help you make it go faster. But more importantly, I think that working from home, it can be an enjoyable and a very productive way to work as well. And I know that these are scary times, and everybody's working with a lot of stress and a lot of uncertainty. But try to see the positives here as well. Right? I mean, it's a plus that you don't have to commute an hour and a half to the office, right? That's a good thing. It's a plus that you're saving cash by making a PB&J in your kitchen instead of spending $20 for a McMeal down the street, right? It's like I said, it's a plus to work in the sweatpants instead of a suit, even though you got to check to make sure the waistline ain't going too out of control. But most importantly though, I hope that everybody who has listened to us today, I hope you have the biggest plus of being healthy and being safe, and that all of your friends and family stay that way as well. All right? And I want to thank Kim for being here today and helping us all get our brains wrapped around the remote working from home CAD process. Kim, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. Yeah. All right, folks, so we are out of here, and we will catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast.